Okay, we're now looking down on the original old town. Doesn't look like it. You may be able to notice some church spires. Up on that hill is Pensilo, the Virgin statue. It was built apparently by the people who built the large church we were just in, and it's such that the entrance to the church faces this statue, and this statue faces the church, and that is supposed to be symbolic connection. This is the street we walked down yesterday towards Old Town from that cathedral, and it looks like expensive 18th century or early 19th century home structures. Another slightly more interesting house. Been restored a little bit. Looks like some restoration going on this. It's a relatively plain building, but you can see detail here, which is unusual. There you can see what look like the classic carriage entrances of large homes in the past. And a little bit more elaborate detail. Now I have no idea whether this was a home or not. A very plain church, but with one very notable feature. Notice this cross outside. The purpose of this cross outside was that for 200 or 300 years, the indigenous people were not allowed in the church. I think this is a good example of the classic inherent hypocrisy of the Catholic Church and the era of that time. I walked down that side of the street, but you can see there almost Art Deco period. Here's some nice detail on the outside. And again, the outside is not indicative of the grandeur of the inside, all of which would have had, as you can see if we poke in there past him, an inner courtyard. Here next door we'll go inside just to get a little look. Oh no, I guess we won't. So this is how the homes of the wealthy here and many other countries we've been in, not only in South America or Europe, but elsewhere, would have this inner courtyard where the family found its privacy and probably bedrooms and so forth on the upstairs. No doubt a fountain and maybe even a well in the center. Here we're on a street that's fairly level, slight incline up, but otherwise rather level compared to most of Quito. Everything looking neat and clean because we're approaching the core of the tourist area. The balconies, a little touristy, but maybe not intended for that purpose. They may have just liked the motif. Go inside this building again just to get a sense of what the interiors might have been like and how they're used today. Stairway to the upstairs. Just not as elegant, but still performed somewhat that function. Don't know how old this portico is, but pretty. Again, some lovely buildings as we approach the Plaza Grande, as it's called now. Nicely frames this church and the Pensilo above. The restoration of this sidewalk, either it was deteriorating or they put some utility underneath it. A bit more modern equipment than you see in many countries. That's where I entered the square. This is the Plaza Grande Hotel. At least that's its new name, but it was the most elegant hotel, as this was the prime square for the old town. This is the old parliamentary building. Not sure what that church is, but this will give you a pan of the park, or the square, or the plaza. And we'll go into that building, which used to be the monasterio and now houses mainly tourist sites. I don't know what this building originally was. It has the look of a government building or a bank. I'm just 1 block off of the square. I just walked uphill a block from the square to pick up this church whose dome I had seen over the buildings. Notice the cross outside the church, and this rather modest and unembellished now. And this was old Quito, that many of these streets radiating away from the plaza were beautifully done. Another impressive building. It's behind the presidential palace. Whether it's a part of it or not, I don't know. Nice detail. And specifically designed each. Notice how the pieces get larger and smaller and smaller. Almost looks like a stadium. Here's another piece of nice work in here. Beautiful way to embellish a entryway. And here's this center courtyard area that we've talked about. This is part of the presidential complex. Very beautiful. Now look closely and you'll see the condor, a symbol of Ecuador. And again, if this were a casa pasado in the past, this would be a center courtyard, another courtyard. Now see, notice also the condors, dos. So we're now in the offices of the Vice President of Ecuador, or Quito at least. Beautiful. Now it almost looks like men, hombres and something, but who knows? Now we're in a rotunda, if you will, inside the Vice President's facilities through a security area, but here's the stained glass in the center. And there, juego cromático. Another mural, folclorio. That's what that is. That's what that is. So that's one of the great novel experiences you get being a traveler, where you just serendipitously run across an interesting person who took the time to walk me out of her offices over there after showing me the mural work or the ceramic work, and took me through and past security to look at what's inside the Vice President's